And thank you for taking your valuable time to join us tonight. And hi, my name is Angie Zeng. Along with me is my co-leader Desmond Ho. We will host for this event that will take around like 1 hour and 50 minutes or so. Okay, we'll do a quick introductions to our Trailblazer community group. Then I will pass over the sections to our speaker, Joey. He will introduce Omnichannel with us. Then right after the Joey presentations, Desmond will proceed with the fun quiz. And the good news is that the first three winners of the quiz will walk away with the Salesforce certificate vouchers. Sounds good, right? Okay. As a kickoff and the introductions of our Singapore admin user group, both Desmond and I run this Salesforce admin user group, hosting a regular community group meeting and the conferences to connect with our awesome admin to share the ideas, the best practices, and hope that we can succeed together. Desmond, yeah, please, would you like to introduce yourself to everyone?
Hi. Okay. Hi everyone. My name is Desmond. I'm with SIM Digital, Singapore Institute of Management. So me and Angie we co-lead this group. I just started maybe a year, coming up a year already. This is our so-called our last meetup, and I'm from Singapore. Yeah, I'm a business analyst.
All right. And myself, I'm from Cognizant, and I work as a delivery manager to build the digital services and to streamline all the business processes using the automated tools and the solutions. Yeah, Trailblazer community talks and to succeed together. And in order to do that, actually, we would like to introduce the other Trailblazer community from Singapore. They are consists of ourselves as a Salesforce admin group. Then we have a Salesforce developer group and a Salesforce marketer group from the marketing crowd. We also have this Salesforce marketer group, Ardot, Salesforce non-profit user group, Salesforce user group, and Salesforce Women's Impact group. The Trailblazer community helps everyone to strive in Salesforce. So we hope that we can, not I say that everyone can join us to learn the relevant skill and connect with others Trailblazer and to give that together, like what we are doing right now. And in order to do so, you can try to look at, like I say, is that what is your interest and which one that fits your role. And from there, you can join us and to cheer together. Right. Our next user group meetup is scheduled for February 2022. So if you are keen to speak, please reach out to Desmond or myself, and we will set up a sharing sessions for you. Right. This is actually we are honored to have Joy with us to speak in this evening. He's a Salesforce MVP Trailblazer community leader in Philippines and a founder of Cloud Jetty Solutions, where he guides all the companies in their digital transformation journey. He's also is an organizer from the Philippines Dreaming, Dreaming and Salesforce MVP series, and he holds around like 20 plus certificates and have over 12 years old of implementing Salesforce solutions experiences. And okay, yeah. Joey, maybe I would like to pass the sessions to you so that you can know that it is that to walk us through. Joey, over to you.
Yep.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you, Desmond and Angie. All right. Let me share my screen now. Please let me know if you can see it. Can you see
Yes,
it? All
yes.
right. Just wondering, we won't be recording this session, right? Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yes, I'm
So,
I'm recording it right now. No worries.
I see. All right. All right. Thank you. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. Thank you for the privilege of having me here. I am Joey Chan, and I'm here to talk to you about building slick guided user experiences without code using Omnistudio. All right. So, just to let you know who I am, I'm the founder and technical architect at Cloud Solutions. So, we guide companies in their digital transformation. I'm also a Salesforce MVP, number one rated developer on the App Exchange, 20 plus certified, and some of these have already been mentioned earlier. So first off, the agenda for today is we'll be talking about what is Omni Studio, why am I excited about this, how it looks like, and how you can actually learn more. So, back in 2020, Salesforce acquired a company called Velocity. They actually specialize on industry-specific cloud applications. So, meaning it's basically Salesforce, but very specific to a certain industry. For example, there are tools that are catering to the insurance industry. There are those that are catering to the government, right? So later we'll be going through some of the different clouds that's available. So Omni Studio is basically a rebrand of the tools that's included within Velocity. So with the acquisition of Velocity, in the past we only have the five clouds at the top. So financial services, health, government, manufacturing, and consumer goods, right? But with the acquisition, it actually added um, these three, so communications cloud, media and entertainment, and energy and utilities. These three are new clouds that's being offered because of the acquisition, and now Salesforce has the capability to, for example, whenever we're talking about telecoms, right? They're actually part of communications cloud, energy and utilities. So you're familiar with, let's say, your electricity company. They can actually use this to power their operations. And on top of that, Velocity also has capabilities with financial services, health, and government cloud. So that's why you'll notice it's actually enhanced here because technically one, two, three, and then four, five, six. These six are capabilities of Velocity. All right. So what is Omni Studio? It is what we call a digital engagement suite. So it's composed of different components, services, and applications that's actually something that you can readily use. So let's say if you're a telecom and you want to adopt Omni Studio, there are already pre-made components that you can readily use that fit specific to telecoms. So, for example, if you're a financial institution, one of the most common things is what we call verification. Let's say you want to call your credit card company, and there's going to be a process that they need to verify, right? One of the things that they would ask is, what is your credit card number? What is your name? Typically, what is your birth date? And any other verification steps. So, Omni Studio has built-in components that you can readily use for those type of processes. So, it also allows you to build guided experiences without code. So, what are guided experiences? Many of you may be familiar with screen flows. So imagine it like screen flows. That's basically the next generation of screen flows. It has so much more capabilities that I'll be talking about later. It's also formerly known as Velocity Interaction Studio. So, like I said, it's the rebrand, right? So they basically just renamed it into Omni Studio. All right. So now, why am I excited about this? Why am I spending so much time on this and helping others learn about it? So first is in the future, Salesforce is already working on this. Omni Studio will be part of Salesforce Core. So just give you a quick background. Currently, Omni Studio is basically a managed package. So it's similar to apps that you install from the App Exchange. So it means that it's basically using technologies that we already know right now. So it's basically Apex, web components, and things like those, right? So the problem there is there is that one layer of processing that a certain process needs to go through in Apex, and then before it goes to the Salesforce core. So the plan here is it's actually moving many of those Apex code into what we call Salesforce core. When we say Salesforce core, it's actually in the Java layer of Salesforce. For some of you may not be aware, but some of the processes that Salesforce is running is actually on Java. So with that transition, one of the effects of this is actually it will help in terms of speeding up the processes. Based on some studies, it could speed up the process up to 400%. So watch out for those. It is also an enterprise grade user guided processes. So most of us are familiar with screen flows, right? One of the problems there is it's not that easy to create, for example, testing on that, automated testing, right? So one of the capabilities of Omnistudio and Omniscripts is basically building unit tests without necessarily coding. So for larger enterprises, unit testing is very important in making sure that whenever new features are deployed, it's actually following best practices, right? So there's actually a use case that I'll be talking about later, wherein if you were to build the same requirement using Apex, it could take up to 42 days. Let's say it contains some integration with third-party system and things like those. But if you were to use Omnistudio, basically you could get it down to up to a day. Although this can be, of course, skeptical for many. 42 is the one, it's really high, right? But if you can actually just lessen the development time by half by using this tool, it can actually speed up the whole process a lot, right? So most important thing about that is really the time to value. So how much time would it take from start to building it out and rolling it out to the customers, right? So it's one of the biggest benefit of using Omni Studio because a lot of it is actually declarative. All right. One of the most important things for me too is basically talent scarcity. Many of you, depending on when you entered Salesforce, you all know Salesforce developers are a bit scarce, right? But based on unofficial numbers, probably there's a couple of million Salesforce developers now. But if we were just to think about how many OmniStudio developers there are, if I were to guess right now, there's probably less than 100,000. And the demand is actually quite high now because quite a lot of companies are adopting OmniStudio, and Salesforce is really pushing OmniStudio a lot to all of the different industries. And I foresee that later on, right now, OmniStudio is only available to Salesforce industry customers. Meaning, if you have to be in media and entertainment, you have to be in government cloud, financial services, in order to be able to use OmniStudio. But later on, I'm hoping and expecting that they will actually open it up and make it available to the rest of the Salesforce ecosystem. Meaning, even smaller companies, or for example, not nonprofit, may be able to use this because it's so powerful. There are a lot of processes that they would benefit from this. Right? Take note, it's something that forward looking. So we won't know. Salesforce hasn't announced any updates yet on when they may be doing that. But the reason why I'm talking about this is to help people get ahead of the game, because later on, if the demand grows, you do want to be equipped with the knowledge in terms of how to use this system. All right. Any questions so far? No.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Hi, Joel. Thank you for
Yes.
this amazing session. I'm just excited to know about the talent scarcity again because, yeah. So, can you please do this?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, of course, take note, these are unofficial numbers, But based on what I see whenever I look at job boards, there's quite a lot of people looking for those that with velocity skills, velocity or Omnistudio. So if this is something that you're interested in, I would actually highly recommend that you go through the different Trailhead modules and learn the tool. Because the learning curve, honestly, depending on your experience with Salesforce, is actually not hard though, especially if you have development experience. So you could think about it as if you're a developer, let's say you're already building Lightning Web Components. I noticed quite a number of those that responded here are developers, right? If you're already building Lightning Web Components, imagine OmniStudio like a code builder for you. Instead of you writing the actual LWC code, it will actually generate LWC code for you through drag and drop.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Thank you.
Yep. All right. Anything else? All right. I can go ahead then. So OmniStudio is basically composed of different layers. There's what we call digital experience, service management, and developer experience. So for the digital experience, this is what you see and interact with. So we have both flex cards and Omniscripts here. Flex cards are what we call contextual information that basically shows you information about a certain object or a record. It could be accounts, contacts, related lists, and all. Omniscripts are going to be quite similar to screen flows. Basically, these are multiple series of steps that a user can go through and take actions on. And then under service management, these are the back-end side of things. So we have integration procedures and data raptors. So you could think about integration procedures as some of the things that you typically build using flows or using Apex. So typically, these are background processes. Let's say you want to get some data from here, um, change the data sets, and then push it back to Salesforce. So normally there are multiple steps, right? You would use integration procedures to do that. And then data raptors, think of it as what we call a lightweight ETL tool. ETL stands for extract, transform, and load. So this is what you would use in order to interact with the Salesforce database. Many of us may be aware of SOQL, SOSL, basically getting data from Salesforce, right? And then many of you are also aware of insert, update, upsert, delete. So these are basic operations that you use data raptors for. And they are actually meant to be reusable and they are declarative, meaning you don't actually need to know how to write SOQL statements in order for you to grab data. And then, of course, being an enterprise tool, we also have different tools for developers. So we have the IDX build tool and the IDX workbench, which basically allows you to have a command line interface in terms of automating processes and a way to basically validate deployments. All right. So we'll be going through each one of these. All right. So this is actually an example of a flex card. So you'll notice here we have different cards, right? And then I'll be going through each one of these later on. So in this case, these are actually, this specific record is actually from an account. So from here, we've actually designated that there's going to be a primary contact for that account. So in this case, it will actually show up here. And then under here, we could show a related list of contacts, any related cases. And one use case that that's really good for OmniStudio, because it's actually meant for the enterprise, right? In many cases, they usually have third-party systems that they need to connect to. For example, if your business is into insurance, in many cases, if you want to calculate the premiums for a certain customer, depending on certain, let's say, if it's a life insurance, depending on your age, if you have, if you smoke, if you have any specific conditions, the premiums will actually raise or go up or down depending on those conditions, whether you're a male or a female, right? So it can actually interact with third-party systems without needing to code. In many cases, you usually have to build Apex to interact with third-party APIs. But with Salesforce, with Omnistudio, that's something that can be done declaratively. And then this one is actually getting the weather from a certain postal code. So I'll actually demo how this looks like later on. And then from within this specific flex card, this one, it can actually show you what the condition is, what the city and state is, temperature, and the 5-day forecast. So when you click on this one, there's what we call flyouts. So this is actually additional information that you could show depending on what they select on. So in this case, it's showing you the 5-day forecast. All right. So I'll just do a quick demo. So this is actually a live demo of it now. So you'll notice we have this name, the phone, and website, right? And then we have the postal code here, 90210. This is actually referring to Beverly Hills, California. And then there currently it's actually clear sky and temperature of 4.7 degrees. As soon as I click on this, it would actually show you all of the additional details of the date, the condition, and the temperature there. And then from here, since I'm looking at the account, you could also look at different contacts, look at the number of cases. And then from here, this is what we call a flex card. And then you could actually initiate what we call Omniscripts. So in this case, let's say I want to take action on this case. I could click on it. And then it would fire up a new Omniscript. So hold on. Let me do that again. Click that twice. There you go. So case number, we have all of the details from the case. So we can go through the Omniscripts later on. All right. So this is actually a sample of Omniscript. So what you see here may be a sample of, let's say, a company that's selling homeowner insurance. So we can see here there are multiple steps that you could take. Step one, giving you the details about the plan that you may be interested in. And second step would be you entering the home details. And then step 3 would be giving you options, okay, package A, B, and C. And then fourth one is you could also customize the coverage. Okay, I want $1 million or $1.5 million. And then at the end, it could actually show you immediately a proposal and at the same time generate documents for you. All right. So it's basically a process wherein it can actually guide you through different steps. And one of the biggest things here is it actually allows you to change the look and feel. With screen flows, there's actually limits in terms of how you can change the look and feel, right? But with Omniscripts, you can actually build your own shopping cart to the point that you could filter data, you can change the pricing and things like those, make it look like a shopping cart, right? So that's one of the biggest capabilities. You can actually change it to make sure that it fits the brand look and feel that you have. All right. So
Joy,
yep.
one more
Go ahead.
question.
Yes.
The look and feel for the shopping cart, can you please provide me more detail in this? That how that we can go with the like by using the Omni Studio, how we can more enhance our shopping cart things in our mobile, and how we can build like you can more explain in this because it's really interesting for me. Yeah,
Sure. Yep.
yeah.
We'll go through that in the demo. All right. So let's go through this example. All right. So we have this one is actually a simple Omniscript. All it's doing, it's actually grabbing the data from the case. It's putting it into the input fields. In this case, it's read only, but you could also, for example, change value here. You can change the case subject, and then as soon as you hit next, it will then save it and then redirect the user to the corresponding case record. I'll show you the backend afterwards. It's just a bit slow on mine. All right. So you'll notice the case subject actually already changed, right? So it's what normally you would create multiple steps there, but for the purpose of demo, I wanted to keep it short. All right, let's go back to the weather again. All right, just to give you an idea on how it looks like on the flex cards earlier, so that we can combine what we know from the flex card and the Omniscript. So here we can see that we have weather alerts. So one of the things I mentioned earlier is that it's all actually drag and drop. So let's say you can actually take this out, and for example, you can add a rich text field here, indicating, let's see, this is a sample message. And then you can change the styles and make it large. You could also make it center. So there, you have a lot of the rich text editor capabilities here, right? And then let's go through some of the capabilities that you can add. You can add an action, create text blocks. You could also add charts. And for larger enterprises, custom LWC is something that's quite common. Data table is actually what you saw earlier in order for us to show the 5-day forecast. You could add fields. In this case, we don't have fields. You could also add another flex card inside a flex card. Adding icons, menu. I can show you a sample of a menu later. When we talk about state, so basically you could add conditions. So if the condition that we have is actually heavy snow, you could have this different icon. Otherwise, it would show this specific state here. So this is the icon that we would show if it's not heavy snow. All right. And then regarding your question earlier, one of the things here is that you could actually have your own CSS custom style sheets though. So for example, notice that it's automatically changing. For those that have built Lightning Web components, these are going to be familiar in the layout, right? Large, medium, small, and smaller, depending on what device is being used. You could also add height, minimum height, background size, position. You could also change the Salesforce theme with border color, alignment, and you could also actually add your own custom CSS. This is one of the things that you could do in order to style it according to how you want it to look like. Does that answer your question, by the way? Right. So we can go through, these are some of the different setup options. So we can tell it if it supports Omniscripts. Repeat records is meant for, let's say, if you're grabbing a list of records in this, for example, you're getting a list of cases. You tell it that you want to repeat that card, right? Similar to what we saw earlier on the account. So this one is actually under repeat, because we have multiple cases here, right? And we also have multiple contacts. That's under repeat. And then we also have multi-language support. So there's actually so much more capabilities. You could add event listeners, session variables. There's going to be a lot. So in this case, it's actually grabbing the data from what we call integration procedure. Remember, this is actually getting the zip code and then getting the data from a third-party API and then going through the process. So we can go through that later. All right. So let's go through the what an Omniscript looks like in the back end. So let's see. This is how a sample of the Omniscripts looks like. Remember, the one that we just looked at is editing a case, right? So let me open it up. All right, this is the Omniscript that we just launched earlier. So it's composed of different multiple steps. So first one is what we call integration procedure. So remember, this is a server-side process. So it's actually grabbing data from the database. So in this case, if we look at get case details, um, what it's doing is that this is just the configuration. So it's just telling you the name, the team subtype. These are mostly for categorization. Imagine it like folder structure. So in order for you to organize all of the different Omniscripts and integration procedures that you have. In this case, one of the things that needs to happen, okay, you already have the Salesforce ID. It needs to get the details from the database, right? That's where you would need to get a data raptor here. So in this case, it's calling this data raptor named team get case details. You can open it up. So this is actually a sample of a data raptor. So in this case, we're telling it, hey, I want you to get the case where the ID is the given case ID. This is what we would be passing in to the data raptor. And then how do we tell it which fields to get? So under the output, so we have to indicate, okay, we have the case number, created date, description, status, and subject. We tell it, based on these information, I want you to create a JSON record in this format. And then these will then be passed on to our Omniscript. So we'll go through the options there. We have some options here. If you want to enforce field level security, all you have to do is check this box. And then there are other options for overwriting null value, null inputs. And then it has built-in capabilities for platform cache. And then this is basically like a debugger for this data raptor. Remember, it's actually generating SQL statements for you in the backend, right? So for example, we'll tell it, I want you to get me the case ID with this ID. So will then execute the data raptor. And you'll notice on the query debug log, it's actually generating this SQL query for you. Notice ID, case number, subject, status, description, created date are all there. So you won't really need to write your own SQL statement. It's going to do that for you. And then this is going to be the response. This will then be passed on back to this specific integration procedure, right? So it's basically telling it, now that we got the data, return it back to the record that called it. So in this case, it will simply return it back to this specific Omniscript. And then under step case, there's going to be multiple options, right? One of the things that you will notice that if you click on it, we have the name, case number, case subject, case open date, and case status. All of these needs to match what we got from the data raptor. This is the format, right? All of these has to match because it's taking the information here and then putting it here. All right. And then from here, we have different options. We can make it required. We can make it read only. We can add a placeholder. Any masking, let's say it has to be asterisks. So minimum, maximum length. So if we want to repeat, if we want to add help options. So you can easily add help text here. And we could also add, for example, validation using regular expression. So let's say if you have a certain phone number format and you want that enforced, you could use this. All right. So from here, I'll show you all of the different actions. So you could go through what we call a calculation action. Part of the capability of OmniStudio is being able to calculate certain data sets, right? So imagine for insurance industry, there could be something like a lookup table to understand all of the different calculations needed. So you also have data raptor extract, turbo. These are the this is the what we can use to read data from Salesforce. This is to insert, update, and then we also have delete records. Transform is meant for transforming the format. So, for example, you may have data from in XML. You want to change it into JSON format. It has built-in capabilities to do that. It also has built-in integrations with DocuSign. It also send an email, integration procedure action, which is this one. And then Matrix Navigate is actually how you can actually tell the user, hey, after saving this, I want you to go to the specific record. You could also generate a PDF based on the data. And then remote action and HTTP action, these are meant for third-party integration. So if we need to call a third-party API, all right? And then set errors and values. This is where you could actually show or hide error messages to the user. These are the place option, adding text or line breaks. You could also aggregate data and additional calculation and additional messaging. So these are mostly just for grouping. So, and then inputs similar to screen source or LWC. You have the typical option, checkbox, custom Lightning Web Components, currency, date, time, email. So all of these are actually built in. All you have to do is drag and drop it into the component here. All right. And then from the setup, same way. You could, for example, change the currency, enable tracking, enable SEO. So there are a lot of capabilities in the backend that you could explore. So tracking, one of the biggest benefit of this is how long, for example, if you have a 10-step process, let's say a shopping cart, you want to be able to know, uh, let's say if there are 10 people that tried that specific Omniscript, you want to be able to know if, let's say, they stop at step 5. This is one of the ways that it can track. There are analytics that can do that. There's no such thing like that for screen tools, right? So the same way,
For enable SEO, because it's a search
sorry,
engine optimization. Is SEO a search engine optimization? So
correct,
how
correct. It
can we
is,
use
yes.
this in OmniStudio?
So you'll notice here, make your Omniscripts available to search engine. So it has capabilities to make it SEO friendly.
Okay, it
Right?
means like the URL should be SEO friendly and the user friendly.
Correct.
It means
Yep.
okay,
Mhm.
okay.
And then let's see, step chart options. Um, in this case, it's just one step, right? But normally you can make changes to that. So let's say if you want them to cancel, being able to cancel the whole process, you could do that. And then save option, save for later. Knowledge option, it can actually integrate directly with Salesforce Knowledge, although I haven't tried this yet. Any error messages. All right. So from here, another option is, remember, we're going through a process, right? Here we actually got the details from the database. We showed it to the user, and the user can make changes, right? We then have to save it back to the database.
Sorry, I have a question.
Yes, go
So
ahead.
all these build property setup, was it on the step? The actions, whatever you showed, was it on the step?
Which are you talking about, the build part?
Yeah, the actions and all that,
All right.
DocuSign, if all that is on the step, we this
Yes, you could actually add it to. It depends on what you want. You could, for example, add it as one of the steps. For example, after you save the case, you want to be able to send, let's say, a DocuSign.
yeah,
Does that help?
yeah, okay. We add it as a step. Okay,
So you could actually have it added here.
okay, yeah,
After this, you execute this.
okay.
So you'll have here email subject, body, what format it is, any templates that you want. So things like those. All right. So
Okay,
I'll
thank you.
just delete this. This is then actually saving the details to the database. So as soon as I click on this, all it's doing is basically call another data raptor, which is team case save details. And then from here, let's wait for it to load. All it's doing is telling it, hey, I want you to use the case object, and then here are the fields. I want the, based on the XML that we'll be providing, case ID, case number, case status, subject, you save it to, you basically map it to these fields, ID, case number, status, subject. And then this is actually as a sample of what you could be sending from Salesforce, from the Omniscript. So in this case, it will actually get these, and then save it. All right, I could actually execute that, and let's see what happens. All right, so it actually saved it. Let's see, there's no errors here, right? So it did actually use this case ID, and then using these information to save the record. All right, so let's go back to the script. And then at the end, it's basically just navigating the user back to the case record. We're telling it the object is case, and then record ID is what record we're looking at. In this case, this is a served word. We have context ID here. All right. So let's go back. So some of the capabilities of Omniscripts. So we'll go through this for each one. It contains a rich interface, microservices client, and omnichannel deployment. I'll go through each one. So what does rich interface mean? It actually supports conditional logic, similar to what we looked at earlier. So depending on certain conditions, we could actually execute a process or not. So one of the things here, you could also, for example, duplicate things and all. All right. It also has built-in exception handling for flows. It also contains document integration. So remember, it can actually generate a PDF or integrate with DocuSign. And it has its own branding capabilities. So using your own custom CSS, you can actually change the look and feel of the whole page. So it's also a microservices client. Remember, it has capabilities to interact with third-party systems, third-party APIs without necessarily coding. Its capability for both Omniscripts and FlexCards. When we say omnichannel deployment, typically for screen flows, it can be deployed, for example, within Salesforce in any of the pages, or it can also be deployed through communities, right? The nice thing about Omniscript is it can actually also run outside Salesforce. It can run in Adobe or Heroku in other external systems, not just Salesforce. So that's one of the biggest things there. So some of the advantages, it's basically drag and drop. It allows you to build rapid prototyping. So in many cases for enterprise environments, users wouldn't necessarily know what they want. But what this can allow you to do, even if you don't have the backend yet, you could already start building the user interface, have it validated by the users. Hey, this is going to be the fields that would be shown. It's going to be step 1, step 2, step 3, and then have them validate that this is actually going to work before all of the backend happens. So in many cases, it actually works in parallel. You can have the front end being built while the backend is still being built, right? It has its own branching capability. So depending on certain condition, you could run certain processes. And same way, it can integrate with other systems. All right. So we've already gone through the Omniscripts tool, right? So data vector, remember, this is the extract, transform, and load. So it allows you to get data, and write data to Salesforce. On top of that, it can also allow you to populate a PDF and a DocuSign template. And then same thing with the transforming of the data. You can use JSON, XML, or your own custom schema to transform the data. All right. So this is a sample of the data raptor. We actually already showed you earlier. One of the things that you'll notice is that this one is different. Turbo Extract is the type of data raptor. It's actually something simpler. If you were to look at the options, there's actually two options for the data raptor: extract and turbo. The difference between these two is that turbo action is meant to be more simpler and faster, but has less functionality. So it can only grab data from one object. For extract action, it can actually grab data from multiple objects. So that's one of the capabilities.
So these multiple objects, do they need to be related for the
They should
extract?
be related, yes. So let's say you're grabbing from a contact, you want to be able to grab also the parent account details, things like those, right? So you could imagine it's actually similar to SQL query, right? So the things that you can do with SQL query is something that you would do here. So for example, if you want to get the parent, the grandparent, or great grandparent of that record, you could also do that. All right. So
By the way, can
this
I
is
do an inner join and outer join call or two?
yes,
Okay, can. Thank you.
using data vector. So as long as it's a capability for SQL, yes, you can. So we actually already did the demo earlier, right? So we went through some of the data raptors that we've gone through in terms of how to edit a case. Take note, this is a very simple explanation since I wanted you to see how it looks like. In many cases, if you're building something more complex, there's a lot of the same components, right? So there could be, for example, 5 steps in this Omniscript, or you could have multiple steps in integration procedures, right? So imagine rather than having a developer build code, you could use integration procedures to do the processing for you, right?
Can
So
I
for
add in
yep,
sorry? Can
go
I add
ahead.
in the business rules? Like let's say is that let's say I have 10 rules. Can I add in inside and then run according to the priority, kind of like steps, and then they have a different logic at the back end. Can it be done this when I'm building the entire flow?
Yes, yes. I mean, as mentioned earlier, you could actually do branching logic. So depending on certain condition, you could execute a different action.
Yeah, Joey, I have a question.
Yep.
I look at your Omniscript screen. Maybe you're
Mhm.
going back to the where you have all your
Which one?
there. The first,
Uh,
I think prior before this. Yeah. So
right.
you see that screen, right?
This one. Okay.
No. Just now when you show all your
Are you
scripts.
talking about this one?
No. You were showing like
The list.
okay,
Okay.
this okay. So how do we? I mean, what is your advice for us to keep like in this agreement? Like for example, you have opti code, and then what's your recommendation to keep it clean in the event that we go until so complicated that we don't even know what script that we're actually doing. You know my question?
Yep. Yep.
Ah,
Yep.
yeah.
There's actually a best practices guide where it actually tells you what are the best practices in terms of naming.
Okay. So your ideal is like one object,
Uh,
one Omniscript, or then from there you do your branching.
It's all about how you organize the data there and how you maintain the data there. So yeah,
Where can
it's
we
all.
find this guide?
Actually, I'll be sending over a link later on wherein I compiled all of the resources about Omnistudio that I found, and then I'll send over it later.
Okay,
Nice, nice.
thank you.
All right.
Uh,
So, yep, I'll send this. Even this link is actually there.
This link is actually there.
Sorry, Kushai, Kushai, you are very muffled.
We're hearing some
Yeah.
echo, right?
Okay, thanks, Joey.
Should we proceed?
Yep.
All right. So
Sorry, I had one more question.
yes, go ahead.
Could you please show that integration procedure where you're calling the data raptor? Where exactly do we specify the data raptor in the integration?
So from here, this is calling the integration procedure, right?
Yeah.
So under this integration procedure, this is the data raptor.
Okay. So we click on the integration procedure, we go to the screen, is it?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Joy, one more question. Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, you simply rock today actually because the session is really going good. But I have a doubt. Like we had used on the weather flags card there, the Omni Studio. But I'm a marketing cloud consultant, and I'm using the weather content block in the content builder in a marketing cloud. So if we want to integrate between the like the flags weather flags card in the Omni Studio and the weather content block in the marketing cloud, then any idea that how we can integrate, because you know that sometimes the user want to upload the proxy images both for the location and for the demographic purpose. So what you recommend for the same?
I actually don't have experience with Marketing Cloud in terms of how it can be integrated. I'm assuming it can be embedded in, let's say, Lightning Web Components. Can it or no?
Okay, but if you just want to go for that Omni Studio weather FlexiGuard, then if like
The
user
weather,
one, yeah, weather FlexiGuard, then
this
if
one.
the yes, this one, then if user want to upload any proxy images there for the temperature or the location based personalized thing, then is it possible? Is it possible there?
So just to confirm, I understand the question. You want to upload the
Proxy
image
image, proxy images, yeah,
in a different server. You
yeah.
could actually indicate either upload it here or
Okay.
you could get it from the content documents.
Okay,
Those
and
are
it
the
will be
two options.
okay, and it will be automatically fetch locations accordingly.
Mhm. Yep.
Is it? Okay.
So in this case, we're just using an image source URL, right?
Yeah.
So it could be an icon, image from the org libraries. These are the different options. So it will do that for you.
Great, great. Okay.
So you could have your own images and make it look prettier, right?
Sorry, one more question.
Go ahead.
That's could you please show how you use the state?
All right.
State.
In this case, basically, if you click on this, similar to things that you use for within Salesforce, you could actually add conditions. You could actually edit it. You tell it, hey, if the condition equal to heavy snow, then show this. This is as soon as when you click on this state, um, go to properties and then change the
Okay.
state.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So if it does not meet this condition, then it goes to the second one. And then you could actually add more. For example, I want to
Like
add a
how
third.
we set LWCs, right?
Mhm.
Component visibility, same
Correct.
line.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Thank
So
you.
yeah, same way. So you could add multiple conditions depending on, let's say, state equal to this or and or. You could also add grouping. So there are quite a lot of options there in terms of the state. So either you show this or this or this, and then this is the default because it doesn't have any conditions here. Okay,
Okay. Thank you.
right. And then for the integration procedure, remember it's a server-side process. Wherein, as a best practice, if you need to do more than one process, you'd want to use an integration procedure for it because in many cases, you want it scalable, right? So if you need to add a certain process to an excessive process, then use an integration procedure. All right. So this is what we went through. So This is a sample of, let's say, an integration procedure that has multiple steps. Let's see. I'm not sure if I have one, but let's check. Let me check this one. All right. So this is sample of integration procedure that is basically has conditional. So in this case, it's updating the primary contact. It's also changing the. It can also change the. Let's see. This one updating of the record primary contact. This one is changing it, and then this one is creating a primary contact. So you can actually create different processes. Let's see. Let's see if I can actually show this one to you. I'm not sure if this will work, but let's try. This one may not be updated. All right. So you could actually give options to the user depending on what they want to do. I want to update the primary contact, change the primary contact, or create a new primary contact. So based on the answer, you could actually have it all in one integration procedure, and then just have this condition from that. Is it create? Is it change? Or is it update? And then it will run the corresponding data raptors for you. So it's one of the ways to make it somewhat reusable, basically making it conditional depending on what actions need to be made. So that's actually the demo. Let's see. So some of the capabilities of integration procedure. So it's drag and drop. It can actually call data raptors and other services. It can run in both synchronously or asynchronously. So for those that are into Apex, you could have queuable or future methods, right? So it can also do batch processing for you. So same with conditional logic, and then built-in error handling, and then call from. It can actually be called from any REST client. So imagine this: you built a certain process, and it's very complex. You could actually leverage that in third-party systems. All they have to do is call the API, and then this is actually exposed, and it can run through the process. You could also run integration procedure in Apex, similar to how you can actually run flows in Apex. It has built-in versioning. So one of the things that you'll notice, you can actually create a new version. So it's actually tracking all of those similar to how we have flows. So just going back, some of the capabilities for integrations procedures are batch action, what you learned earlier, calculation. We also have try catch block. So for the developers out there, you'll be familiar with this. Data raptor extract, post, meaning saving to the database, transforming the data, deleting a record, DocuSign, email integration procedure. So you'll notice many of these are quite similar to what you would see in an Omniscript, right? But many of these are, take note, all of these steps are happening in the server. But if you're using an Omniscript, these are being run from the client, right? So imagine if there are multiple processes, as much as possible, combine them in integration procedures. All right. So, like I said earlier, this is actually an example of a demo or a solution that an architect based in Europe made. So for easy integrations, it could take up to 2 hours if you were to build it using Apex, but it only takes up to 30 minutes if you were to build it using the tools that we have. So for difficult integrations like let's say you need to integrate with multiple different systems. You could actually do some of those in a day or a few days rather than, in this case, it's up to 42 days, right? So what are the different certifications right now for learning it? So these are the three certifications that has already been moved over to Trailhead: Omnistudio Consultant, Developer, and Industry CPQ. For those that are more into the functional side of things, Omnistudio Consultant is what you would need. It talks about why you need things and how to use a certain feature. For the Omnistudio developer, it talks about actually the technical details, what format in JSON you need to use it. And then for industry CPQ, it's something totally different from the standard Salesforce CPQ. So these are specific to industry customer. So for example, they have a lot of things catering to telecoms. So for example, if you want to buy iPhone 13, normally there are different packages, right? I want it, for example, 128 gig, 256 or more, depending on certain configuration. It has built-in capabilities for pricing all of those. All right. Any questions before we go through the quick demo?
Are you going to show the calculation procedures and matrices?
For this one, we won't actually have time. So I'd recommend going through the Trailhead modules for that.
No worries, thank you.
But it's basically, just to give you an idea, it's basically just a VLOOKUP process. Imagine it like a VLOOKUP. So depending on certain condition, it gives you a certain output.
Joey, that's a question. Farid
Yep.
asks, what's the difference between industrial CPQ and standard CPQ?
All right. Well, both Salesforce CPQ and industry CPQ are really meant for configuring pricing and quoting, right? But for what we call industry specific customers, for example, telecom or insurance, they have a lot of things that are specific to those type of industries. So it's hard to say. There's a big difference between the two. Um, there are many factors to it. We actually won't have time to go through each one though. But as a quick guideline, if you're, let's say, in an insurance or a telecom, you should be using the industry CPQ. But for all the others, you may consider just using the Salesforce CPQ. Does that help?
Yeah, I think that helps to answer his question.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a lot more details there since we actually won't have time to go
Yeah.
through all of those.
Sure. Thanks, Joey.
All right. So I'll just do a quick demo.
Yeah, one more
So,
thing, Joy. Well, one
yeah,
more thing,
go
Joy,
ahead.
Hardesman, and Angie. I just want to introduce my fellow colleague from the Dot Squares. We are from Dot Squares today, and we have joined this meeting. So my fellow colleague is Udit, Gaurav, Apur, Kaushlendra, Parminder, Praveen, and Raghvendra. We all are here from the Dot Square side today. So, and we all are lot of like we are looking for the certifications, so like the if quiz will be happen and we can get a certification, then it will be more good for those. So yeah, look forward for that quiz as well.
Yeah, don't worry. Great.
Yeah.
It's chance with everybody that's in this screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Joey, may you
All right.
continue?
Yep. Do we still have time? I'm not sure since we may
I
be.
think you can go ahead. It's okay. Don't worry. We can overrun a bit.
All right.
It's okay.
Sure. All right. So I'll do a quick demo in terms of what's possible using this. Remember, we can actually integrate with third-party systems, right? In this case, I'll actually just use an existing one. So from here, all I did is added a text block. So going to the text and then adding it here. And then I also then added, actually, let me try creating one from scratch just to give you an idea on how fast you can build things. All right. All right. Before I do that, this is actually an example of an integration that we'll be building. So imagine you want to build a process that sends out emergency notification to a certain people. Let's say servers went down. I want to send SMS. I want to call certain number of people, and I also want to send emergency notification via Slack. All you can actually integrate it all using Integromat. So in this case, we are just building a webhook. This accepts data from Salesforce, and then based on that, it's actually going to send an SMS to a certain phone number, and then with the subject and the description, emergency notification. And then we also want to be able to call the number. And I wanted to say, as soon as the user answers the call, hello, this is emergency notification from Cloud Jedi Solutions. We also have the subject and the description. And then this is generating the XML for the call that will then be passed into this call itself, which will dial the number and actually call it. And then lastly, it will actually send a Slack notification. All right. We won't go through the details of this since it can be another session, but this is something that you can actually build within less than 30 minutes. All right.
So Joy,
So
these messages are personalized, or these are the simple messages we are going to send? Yeah.
it will actually be personalized depending on what we send from Salesforce. The subject and description will be coming from Salesforce.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So let's try to create something quick. Oops, hold on. Let me check the matter. All right, there you go. Just making sure that I don't get cut off. So let's sample. I'll save it. So what I'll do here is I can create a message, a text. Save. Can make it at the center, bold, and then heading. Let's save. All right, and then we could also add input fields. Okay, subject. Make it required. Here. And then we can also clone it. Okay. So this is one of the really quick capabilities. So we could use an HTTP action here. Without send emergency notification. So this is one of the capabilities of it, right? We want to use this process to send a notification in the Chromat. So all we have to do is copy this one, copy address here. And then in this case, it's a web call. Maybe it's post. And then endpoint it's web. And then from here, we have to tell it, we want it to send the subject, and we want to tell it, hey, this is the case subject. What you enter here would be put here. And then description. Would be here. Remember, in this case, we're getting the data from the webhook, right? So it's going to get the details and then send an SMS. So now let's try to go here. One of the things that you can immediately do here is actually preview. If you want to test it out, all you have to do is click on preview. What's actually happening in the background as this is loading is actually generating a Lightning Web component for you automatically. In this case, the server is on fire. Something. So as soon as I click on this, it will actually send an HTTP request over to that. So you'll notice under the action the debugger, it actually send the data over to the Integromat. One of the things that happened there is you'll notice it's actually calling me now. So you won't hear it, but it actually is calling me. I'll drop it now. But one of the things that it also did is it also sent, see, emergency notification.
Okay.
All right, so looks like something went wrong on the demo. Hold on. It wasn't able to pick up the data yet. Let's check the verb. All right, I made a mistake actually. So let's go back to the design mode. Rather than headers, it should be in parameters. It's out. All right. So now let's preview it again. So I'll try to send it again. So you'll notice this is a live demo. So it's also calling me again. I'll drop it. But this is now notification. Service is on fire. Please help. So you can imagine you could actually have, let's say, 5 people that's going to receive this this notification. And then on top of that,
Sorry,
it actually
can
also,
I ask a question?
go ahead.
On that HTTP, what URL have you given on the?
Yep. The URL is actually the URL of the webhook coming from this one generated here.
Okay.
Because we are sending it to Integromat. And you'll notice here we also have notification coming from Integromat, right? So there are quite a lot of options here.
One more question, Joy. Any parameter or any measurement there to find out that how many users are receiving the notifications, or if the users are not receiving the notifications, then what is the strategy for the same?
Well, it depends on what's available on the API that's available for Twilio. In this case, I'm using Twilio to handle the
Twilio.
sending the API, or basically sending an API call to Twilio, and I'm telling it, hey, I want you to send an SMS to this number. And take note, this is something that can be dynamic too, though.
But maybe the network bandwidth or something, the issue will be happen if we have like 10,000 users or the 5,000 users, something like it, in a bunch of users. And also like how you can track that open rate and the clicks rate of the messages we are
Well,
receiving.
for SMS, there's no such thing, right? It really depends on capabilities of Twilio. I would recommend you taking a look at the Twilio API for that to see if there's any options there. We're basically handing off the sending of messages and this one through Twilio. So whatever capabilities they have through the API. So you'll notice we are also just sending a Slack message here, right? Emergency notification and subject.
Yes, yes.
Does that help? So if you want to learn more, you could just go through Twilio and then go from there. All right. And then we had a question earlier, right? How can you learn more? I'll go ahead and send this link over to you. But this is where you could study all of the resources related to Omnistudio. So this is going through the documentation, what you can do. So if you're a partner of Salesforce, then you could actually get access to the Velocity Success community. Otherwise, you'd be limited to what's available on Trailhead. So there all are links here. I'm sure many of you are interested in getting hands-on here. So this is actually one of the links that would help you create a new developer org that contains Omnistudio. So this one's not that easy to find actually, but it's in Trailhead. So I combined all of those. So we also have the trail building guided experiences with Omnistudio. You could go through architecture, flex cards, Omniscripts, branching, data raptors, integration procedures,
Please
and
could you share
Lakshman,
possibly,
the link?
Lakshman is just requesting for the link of the trailhead, so you can just copy the link and paste it in the chat box.
yep. If you want, I
And
could send over this one.
also the
Uh,
best practices, please.
yep. Actually, it's also here. The take-home guide. I'll send it over. So I've compiled all of those in one page. So Trailhead, the student guide. This is very important for those trying to get certifications. We also have videos from Apex Hours. So about the roadmap, the tools, and for those architects out there, I've actually compiled all of those too, articles from the Salesforce Industries. We also have things from Trailhead Live. Salesforce Industry Summit is basically similar to Dreamforce, but specific to Salesforce Industries, and Trailhead DX. All right, there's so much more to it here. So, and then for those planning to get certifications, I've tried to create a quick guide for those that are interested in taking the exam and what you should be focusing on. All right. With that, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or Twitter. I'll send over the links if you want.
Yeah,
I'll send it over in chat.
last question, Joey.
Yep.
Is there any way we can use it outside Salesforce? I saw in one of your slide that it could be used in Adobe and other platform. Meaning, is there a way to use it in communities and force.com site?
Yep. Correct. So if you want to learn more about that, search for Omni Out. Yes. Quick answer is yes.
Something like Lightning Out, is it?
Because it's actually generating lighting web components for you. So yes.
Awesome.
All right. Try to search for the term Omni Out and then.
All right.
All right. I'll go ahead and stop sharing, and then I'll just share to you the links if you want to connect with me on Twitter or LinkedIn. All right. That's actually it for me then. Appreciate the time.
So you'll be sharing those links?
Yes. Did you get the link in
the chat itself? I think Joey has shared two of the links. One is the LinkedIn. The other one is his blog. His blog will link you to all the rest of the links that you can find.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. So he also sent you the developer org that you need for Omnistudio. It's inside the chat as well.
Joey, one more
No,
question.
it had
Go
all
ahead,
the links, right? Just showed not
Sorry,
the developer one, another one.
Which one? Sorry.
Yeah, you look for the blog.cloudjetty.com.
Yeah, blog.cloud
Blog.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
thank
his
you.
blog.
Yeah, okay.
Joey,
It's
what
a
kind of
one-stop.
limitation? What kind of limitation we have with Omnistudio? I'm sure it is certainly not going to replace LWC components, which we do for heavy
Yes,
lifting
yes.
things.
Well, here's the thing. In many enterprise environment, there's going to be limits that you can do with Omniscripts, right? Yes, there will still be a need for developers. But if you think about many of the things that we build, a lot of those are basically just reading and writing to the Salesforce database, right? It's not too
Yeah.
complicated. So
Yeah.
for those use cases, this using Omniscript is actually going to be very much faster compared to building it all using code, right? So
Hmm.
there's always going to be some code that you will be building, but probably at least maybe if you can eliminate half of the work because it can be built using Omniscripts, that's actually a big win for many businesses.
Do you mean Omniscript can talk to my custom component and custom component can shoot an event that the Omniscript can listen to? Meaning some of the
Um,
heavy lifting can be shifted to LWC and let
Correct.
other piece do the heavy lifting.
Yep, you can actually embed Lightning Web Components, and Omniscripts can actually listen for platform events.
Awesome.
All right.
That's
Great,
awesome.
Joe.
Mhm.
Great, Joe. The
Thanks,
session is
Joey.
really amazing. Really good, Joe.
Sure.
I followed you in Twitter as well, and I found that 50 mutual friend we have.
Yeah, it's good. All right. Hopefully that's been very helpful because personally, I foresee that this is going to grow a lot. If you can get a head start on this, that's going to help you a lot in your careers, right?
Okay, thank you, Joey. Angie, you want to take over? Thanks, Joey.
Uh,
It was
Thank you,
great.
Joey. Yeah. Should we proceed with the quiz,
Yes,
Desmond?
let me try to turn it on now. Give me a while. You can show the slide. I'll try to turn the quiz on.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I started the quiz already. Okay, so if you follow the link, you can join us on Slido. With that, and then I think I'm just gonna copy and paste the link into the chat as well. If you
Yep.
think that that's easier for you to click, okay. So we have 5 questions, very brief. I'm waiting for the participants to come in first. Then I will start the quiz. Each question is 20 seconds, and you have yeah. So the top five. Later we'll see what we can do to provide the certification that we are giving. So let me see. Yes, I see some people coming in.
I'm not participating. Sorry for that, but because I don't need, but my fellow colleagues are going
No
to
problem. No
participate this
problem.
quiz.
No
Yeah.
problem. I have only, I think, 8 as of now. Is there any more? 13. Yes. Angie, I think you can you like also join in the with that link on your browser.
Okay.
Yeah, so that for the fun of it lah. I will track the I will try to track the leaderboards and all that stuff on my end. You just
You
try.
want to show the Twitter bot?
Say again.
You want to show the bot?
I will show the board. I set the thing to show the board. Okay, I have 20 people. I have 21. Kiko just join.
Mm.
Any more? If you all have trouble joining the link, please let me know because you have 36 people. So minus a few of us, I think there should be still 30. I'm still waiting for uh, last call. Okay. And if you have difficulty, please let us know. If you can't join the quiz and yeah. Okay, I have 25 already. Okay. So if nobody else is joining, I will proceed. Is there anyone else? Okay. Okay, I'll count to five. I'll start already. Once it start, you have 20 seconds to answer, and then I will proceed on. Okay, I'll start the quiz now. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Okay, it started already. Angie, maybe I'll show your screen because my one is the.
Oh, you want me to show the screen?
Yeah, because yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, results are out. Okay. Uh, you will see your results, your scores, I think on your screen. I have 67 people who got the first question correct. What is the function of to pull the data is using data raptors? You are right. Okay, let's look at the leaderboard. Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay, cool.
You have not participated.
Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Just
Not
admitted.
participating. Yeah.
Oh, you're not participating because you're off. Okay, never mind. But uh, I guess you guys can see the screen. Let me try to see whether I can churn out the. Let me try.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm worried that I show the answers before the following question. That's why I don't want to show my slide. Okay. Let's go to this question first. We saw the leaderboard. Okay, congratulations for the first 5. Okay. Let's look at the next question. We'll start. We start already, if I'm not wrong. Yes. Oh, that was fast. Wow, some of you. Wow. Okay. Yes. 54% of you got it right. That is 3 certification. That is right. Excellent. Okay. So let me just show you the correct answer and I'll show you the leaderboard. Let's see, is there any change in the leaderboard? Wow, there is some change in the leaderboard. That was good. Okay. Yep, this is the leaderboard. Okay, next question. Okay. Yeah. What should we use to process data for 2 or more operations on the server? Wow, that was fast. Come on, keep your answers coming. Okay, we are done. Okay, so what's the correct answer? The correct answer is yes, integration procedure, which Joey has mentioned, I think, a lot of times on how he was doing that as well. So let's look at the leaderboard. Okay, slightly changed, but not a lot. Okay, let me. Okay, slightly changed, but not a lot. Congratulations, Now let me see, which is this is question mark already. I lost her. I lost track of the track. Okay, next question. Is this the last one? I'm not sure. Wait, let me check. Okay, I just checked.
After.
Is this the last one? Oh no, this is not the last one. There's one more. Wow. It's very even.
One more
Wow,
remaining. Yeah.
very even. This is all right. Okay, let's look at the correct answer. It's very even. Really very even. So the correct answer is consumer goods. Yep. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, let's change the leaderboard. Let's see the change. Whoa. There's some change. 4. Wow. Good job. Okay, the last question. Last question. Okay, let's go. So we talk about a lot of data raptors. So what is not the capacity of the data raptor? Well, coming in. Yes. Everyone has different answers. Seems.
Was it too hard?
I don't know, Joey. You
No,
say
no,
that
it's not too hard. No, it's not too
it
hard.
is not too hard, lah. I mean, if you have listened
Yeah.
carefully and all the stuff, it is not, lah. Yeah, okay, could it is okay. The answer is populate a conga sign template. Yes, that's right. So, who is our winners? And yes, okay. Congratulations to Abbas. Got 5 out of 5. You're excellent, man. Abbas. Farah, okay, and Laxman, yes, Aicha, and Bahara Umadi. Yeah. Okay, please, what you're gonna do
Thank
is
you.
that Okay, congratulations to all your winners on and have winning this thing. I'm gonna drop my email address. What you're gonna do is you drop me an email, and I will contact the win. Contact. Sorry, what am I saying? Please drop me an email to my email address. I'm giving you now to put in the chat. Uh, wait, why can't I get? I can't get to my email.
Lakshman almost winning the lot of sessions because I attended yesterday session as well, and the Lakshman won yesterday session.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah,
Lakshman, just for a note, Salesforce do have this rule whereby the certification has limits. So if you have won it and I think don't know, I can't remember what's the rule. They might not provide you with the certs, okay, even though you have won it this time, okay. But let's just see. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I just paste my email address to me in the chat. Yes. You can only wait 3 in 6 months. Yeah, something like that. Yes, Joey, thank you for helping. Yes, this is my email address. For the 5 winners, please send me an email on your position and position and winning the prize. And then I'll send you some details on how to actually get the details of the certification. Now there is a slight change in how they get a certification. The emails that you send me has to be registered on the web access. I'll give you the instruction. Don't worry. We will correspond from there, and then we will try to see what we can do on our end. Okay. So the winners, please drop me an email, and yeah, that will be all. Okay, I guess it was fun. I got a lot of knowledge learning from Joey. Although we overrun, I'm sorry guys, we overrun about 15 minutes, but I believe it's a very fruitful session. Joey has given us great insights about this Omnistudio product. I felt that it was pretty good because there are so many things that I thought that we need to like construct script and all stuff to do, but actually it's a magical thing lah. I would say I like to use the magical thing, and
Yes.
it's there.
it's
Okay.
by the magical joy.
Ah,
By the magical joy, it's
well,
magical thing. Yeah,
the way that he put it is like a magician already, as I say.
that's why he's an MVP now.
Okay. Thank you everybody for the session. We will stay for a little while. If you have questions for Joey, Angie, and me, we are here to help you. I mean, on this session itself. If there's other matters, we can try to answer if we can. If not, have a good night. Angie, anything that you want to add?
I also want to thanks everyone participation and taking the time off to join us, and also we like to take this opportunity to wish everyone Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday, and at the same time please stay safe and stay healthy.
Yes, please
Okay,
stay
see you
safe.
all.
Please stay safe. Please healthy. We'll
You
see
too.
you back in our
You
next
too.
session in February 2022. Okay.
Merry Christmas. Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
Happy New
Happy New
Year.
Year.
Yeah.
Goodbye,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye.
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 Bye,
Bye.
Gigo. I
Bye,
hope you
Bye,
Kiko.
understand
Kiko.
the
Bye,
Singlish.
Bye.
Gino.
I have to find translation for her already later.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
All
Bye.
right. Thank you. Thanks for having me, Desmond and Angie.
Hey,
Appreciate it.
thanks, Joey.
Thank you so much,
Really.
Joy.
Hey, Joey, before you leave,
Yes,
is
yes.
there any references for to explore this option? Like one is keeping the Omniscript outside the thing that you said, Omniscript out, right? And
Uh, um, um, Omni out is actually
Omni out.
yep.
Also, I'm looking for some reference where I um to communicate between Omniscript and LWC component. You have any?
You could actually embed that. I'd suggest. Are you working for a partner, Salesforce partner?
Yeah.
Go through the blog that I sent. There's going to be a link there for you to request access to the Velocity Success community. So
Okay.
I'll paste it here directly. But make sure to go through the blog because I put a lot of content there to help people really learn about OmniStudio. So the ones that I found really useful, including this one, because this is very important for you to learn velocity deeper,
Hmm.
because as I mentioned, there are other certification not yet moved to Salesforce Trailhead. So depending on the industry.
Do you think in future it will be even part of core platform itself?
Yep, that's the plan. Yes, they're working on it.
Okay, so no need of any extra cost added.
Sorry, what's the question again?
I mean, if it is not a managed package which gives us this leverage, right? In that case, are we expected to pay on top of Salesforce license or it is covered?
Honestly, I think it's more of a strategy on Salesforce end, but I believe it's going to be something on top.
I see. Okay. A great session, man. Thank you so much.
Thank
All
you,
right.
everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
it.
man.
All right. Bye bye.
All right. Thanks,
Bye.
guys. I'll see
See
you. Have
you.
a good
Bye.
night. Bye bye.
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 Hi, are y'all still around? If not, could you take a leave first? Okay. Yeah. Have a good night. Okay. Have a good rest. Okay. Because I need to speak to Angie for a while, so I will remove you all from the group. Is that okay? If I'm not sure whether you're still around. Okay. Let me just remove you all. Okay. But thank you for attending the session. Okay. Good night. Good
Thank
night.
you. Good night.
Okay, Angie. Sorry.
Okay, no
Stay.